We are at the cusp of a critical moment in the XRP price chart, and guys, this is causing XRP to be sucked off exchanges very quickly. In this video, I want to go over a couple different charts that are making me very interested in what XRP is about to do, as well as show you some very interesting exchange data as well. Guys, make sure to stick around for this whole thing. You are not going to want to miss it. Like always, your support means so much to the channel. Thank you to everyone who takes the time to like these videos and subscribe to the channel. Your support really does mean so much. Also, if you ever need a good place to buy some XRP, make sure to check out my favorite exchange upload down in the description of this video. With that said, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. So like I said, I want to take a look at some very interesting XRP price charts right now because we're kind of at a very interesting point. Not only the XRP price chart, but a couple other charts that are very significant for XRP. Now, I've talked about this a lot on the channel. I'm not typically your average chart guy. I don't study charts and be like, oh, this is the reason XRP is about to pump. This is exactly how much it's going to go up. For me, that's not really the point of looking at a chart. The more important thing is charts generally show big movements in any cryptocurrency specifically. They have huge consolidation patterns that ultimately lead to breakouts. And if you study the fundamentals of why something is going to be bought more in the future, why more people are going to want to own it, why there's going to be more of buy volume than sell volume, well, then the charts will give you a good idea of when these fundamentals will be reflected. So it's a two-part equation, right? The fundamentals need to be good. You can't just look at a chart and not know what the asset is, because if something terrible happens to that asset tomorrow, guess what? The chart's not going to matter. So it's a conjunction and a combination of both these things. But what we're seeing right now is letting us know that things are getting pretty interesting for XRP. Right now, we're seeing XRP actually leaving exchanges in mass. Exchanges are being drained of their XRP. Now, historically, things like this happen right before an XRP price pump. Why? Because a lot of people were buying XRP, they were loading up on it. Some people might have been unsure, right? They were leaving it on the exchange. But now what people are deciding to do is actually take their XRP off the exchange. So now exchanges are running short on XRP because so many people were purchasing spot XRP, loading up on it, and then saying, I'm getting off this exchange, right? I'm not going to hold my XRP on the exchange, and pulling it off. So it's long-term holders of XRP. Now, the question is why are so many people leaving exchanges right now, right? What are we around the corner from? And if we take a look at the XRP price chart, we can see that XRP is putting in a very similar formation. It's one of these triangle formations. Now, if you haven't watched XRP for a while, you wouldn't know that these are, in my opinion, one of the most predictable formations for XRP. XRP moves in very volatile movements, but those volatile movements happen pretty quickly. A lot of the time, XRP is trading range-bound, and when XRP is trading range-bound, a lot of the time it is in these triangle patterns. Now, these patterns don't necessarily tell you if we're going to break to the upside or downside, but typically what you have is you have the highs getting lower, the lows getting higher, and you have the price squeezed to a breaking point. Eventually, the price gets so tight in here, it chooses two ways. It either breaks down to the downside or shoots up to the upside. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about why I think this is about to break to the upside. But some very simple things before we look into a couple more charts is the fact that we're right around the corner from some XRP ETFs that are likely going to cause the market to boom. We were playing around with an XRP price calculator in my last couple of videos, and what we saw is it doesn't take a lot of money to move the price of XRP extremely significantly. We're looking at these ETFs likely bringing in somewhere between $8 to $10 billion to XRP over the course of the first year alone. These aren't my estimations. These are JP Morgan's estimations. So if you take an asset like XRP, right, that's already hyper volatile, that already moves super easily, and you combine that with the fact that it's kind of hard to get. Not a lot of sophisticated people want to go to a cryptocurrency exchange, right? They just want to buy things where they feel comfortable. So if you combine the fact that you have an asset like XRP that moves super quickly and super easily with the fact that we're likely about to open up a faucet that's going to cause billions of dollars to come in, this is just an easy thing to say, all right, well, like that's going to be pretty bullish for the price of XRP. You can throw in a couple other fundamentals as well, right? Rate cuts are coming, so that's going to be very good for XRP. We have clarity. And then, of course, you have this new massive wave of interest in cryptocurrency in the United States. XRP being a United States-based cryptocurrency with a company like Ripple actually doing something legitimate in the space, these are all really, really good signs to say, all right, well, if the price is consolidating on XRP, right, and we have all these bullish things around the corner and the market's slowly being tapped for much larger liquidity, these are likely things that are going to cause pressure to the upside on XRP. But there's some other charts we can look at as well. One of my favorites and one of the ones that is super interesting right now is the XRP to Bitcoin price chart. Not a lot of people know this, but XRP is one of the few assets that's actually outperformed Bitcoin for the majority of its history. How do you know that? Well, this is actually XRP against Bitcoin. So pretty much every single time XRP is below this middle green line, you're essentially in a position where XRP is heavily undervalued against Bitcoin. If you have XRP above this green line, you have XRP that's essentially overpriced against Bitcoin. But what this really lets you know is if you bought cryptocurrency at any point in history, right, from 2014 all the way till 2026, if you were buying or you were choosing between buying XRP or buying Bitcoin, for the majority of XRP's entire history since 2014, the majority of the time you were better off buying XRP than Bitcoin because essentially you were buying XRP when it was undervalued against Bitcoin. So the vast majority of XRP's entire history, you were better off buying XRP than Bitcoin. And if you look at any other chart of a crypto asset against Bitcoin, almost every single one of them goes to zero. XRP is the only one really that has held itself against Bitcoin and held itself really, really well. Now, what's super interesting is these huge spike ups we get. We get these huge blasts where XRP massively outperforms against Bitcoin. And in my opinion, we are overdue for another big one. With all these fundamentals around the corner, I think we could easily see another huge parabolic run for XRP and actually stay in this region for quite a while. We saw back in 2017 to 2019, XRP was overvalued against Bitcoin for a very significant period of time. Now, funny enough, that actually stopped right about here in 2019. Guess when that was? That was when the SEC actually decided to sue Ripple, right? So you had the SEC coming in and I tried to do SEC on my touchpad on my Mac. It didn't go that well. But you had the SEC come in and completely tank XRP against Bitcoin. And then guess what? It stayed in these low ranges for the entire Ripple SEC case. What happens as soon as it's about to end? XRP spikes back up. So I think it's very possible XRP is going to keep going up back to where it was prior to the SEC essentially kicking people out of XRP and making people uncomfortable to hold it, right? Back in, a year ago, literally back a year ago, people had no idea where the cryptocurrency industry was going to go. Now it feels like the cryptocurrency industry is about to be unleashed onto the United States population. So there's been a huge switch up in the narrative, and the cryptocurrency assets aren't going to reflect that immediately. It's going to take a minute for everyone to figure out what's going on. We just happen to be a bit ahead of the curve here because we've been following this stuff since 2018, 2019, right? So we understand this stuff a little quicker. But let me tell you guys right now, the vast majority of people are not even really waking up to this yet. They're so far behind the eight ball. They are going to see these ETFs go live. These ETFs are going to cause the prices of these assets, in my opinion, to go up massively. And then 2 years down the line, they'll start to say, oh, well, what about this thing that's gone up 3,000%, over 4,000%, 10,000% over the last 5 years? Like maybe I should get some, right? So we're still super early to this stuff, but another indicator that XRP is about to outperform against Bitcoin is the Bitcoin dominance price chart. Now, this one's super interesting. Bitcoin dominance, in my opinion, over the long run is going down to probably around 10-15%. Bitcoin dominance, for some reason, right, all these charts kind of do their own thing, likes to trade upwards gradually and then do a big fall off. And what we see right now is on the Bitcoin chart, we have had this, on this Bitcoin dominance chart, we have had this gradual upturn, and it just looks like we're getting ready for another massive fall off in Bitcoin dominance. Now, when Bitcoin dominance goes down, it's because other cryptocurrencies are outperforming against Bitcoin, right? Other cryptocurrencies are performing better than Bitcoin, so Bitcoin makes up less of the market. But if we just cycle through some of our charts, right, Bitcoin dominance is falling off a cliff. It looks like XRP is about to reach new highs against Bitcoin, and XRP is consolidating in a very bullish pattern with very bullish fundamentals. So I think when you add all this stuff together, you get to a very clear picture that the market is realizing that we're around the corner from something big. And it hasn't seen it yet, right? It's waiting for one last piece of confirmation, whether that confirmation is going to be technical, fundamental, whether it's going to be an announcement, whether it's just going to be like everyone wakes up, whether Trump's going to come out and who knows. But it's waiting on something to just give it that kick out of this consolidation region and for all these charts to start falling into place. Guys, I hope everyone had a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching. And for now, Mickle out.